In addition to champagne and parties, one of the traditions of the New Year is a New Year's resolution, or two. A New Year is full of new possibilities, new alternatives, a time to turn over a new leaf, or at least to improve an old one. Why is this? Why wait until New Year's to have new goals, new aspirations, renewed values, greater meaning, or an improved lifestyle? Perhaps it doesn't matter. Since a New Year's resolution is a tradition, and new habits and new behavior can improve mood, let's just go with the tradition. Nothing wrong with a resolution, except one thing. New Year's resolutions frequently fail. We don't accomplish them. We stumble or falter, and we give up. We get frustrated with ourselves and just forget about all of the hopes we had. Why? Many New Year's resolutions don't deal with the issue that most of our resolutions are generalities. Aspirations, they sound great in our head, but they don't deal with the critical factor that we're dealing with habits. Despite what some authors write, habits are hard to break. Our resolutions are going against years of habit, perpetual and automatic ways of doing things. And simple commitment or resolutions are by themselves insufficient. Let's look at the most common New Year's resolutions people have. The first one is weight loss. Of course, there are others like drinking less alcohol, stopping smoking, starting a savings account, paying off debt, and there are many others. But let's just look at the first one, losing weight. It's a great goal, unless you're anorexic or bulimic. Most Americans are overweight, which can lead to heart disease, diabetes, respiratory difficulties, and even early death. And in response, the weight loss industry, including magazines, books, programs, and so forth, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So weight loss can be a wonderful New Year's resolution. But what are the obstacles? And what are the obstacles to drinking less alcohol, cessation of smoking, saving more, or paying off your debt? Just look at all of the external factors that are constantly telling you to eat. Constantly, day in and day out, whether it be food or alcoholic beverages, we're surrounded by them, and they make us feel hungry when maybe they shouldn't. The obstacles are twofold. Food is plentiful in our society. Socialization frequently revolves around food. Food can bring comfort and not just nourishment, and temptations can be stronger than commitment.
Nobody but you will know.
Desires are temporary. Goals, aspirations, and the future matter the most. Temptation. It works short-term, but not long-term.
Goals. And a New Year's resolution is just that, a commitment or a goal. We need to look at the obstacles. The greatest obstacles with goals or resolutions is they don't deal with both prompters, what is happening in the environment, and they are not specific, strategic, or have a plan. But don't worry.
Look to your true values. Desires are temporary. Goals, aspirations, and the future matter the most.
If you use the strategies I'm about to tell you, you can succeed, and it doesn't cost you a dime. First, look at the prompters. What outside in the environment cause or make you think of the behavior or issue, or your own thoughts or ideas? What internally make you react or act in a way that you want or the way you don't want to act? So let's look at the strategies that can make your New Year's resolutions successful. Okay, so perhaps we've talked enough about why New Year's resolutions frequently fail. Now let's talk about how to make your New Year's resolutions be successful, how you can succeed, actually accomplish them, and feel good about yourself. It's a mood changer. The first principle is specificity. Well, why do your goals need to be specific? Because generalities are just a bunch of words. When you make them concrete, it's an action plan. It's a framework for a new set of behaviors, and you're much more likely to accomplish them. Secondly, have a plan. The how, when, and where. Well, why do you need to specify how, when, and where and have a plan? Well, you want a strategy, not just a goal. And ask yourself, what are the prompters? What are the obstacles to obtaining your specific, planful goals? The obstacles frequently are situational and external or internal. So the situation can be every time you're around food, you consume it. Or the situation can be every time there's alcohol available in your home, you drink it. Or the obstacle could be that every time your children do something wrong, you punish them. So, it can be external, but it can also be internal. Every time you get bored, you spend money. Every time you see something on the internet that's appealing, you order it. So, internal stimuli, your own thoughts, your own desires, your own sense of mood at the moment, what we call mood-dependent behavior, influences you as well. So you want to acknowledge these prompters, these obstacles, and put them in your plan, have a specific set of strategies and how you're going to deal with them. And then the next step is to measure. Well, why should you measure something as simple as a New Year's resolution? Does that mean you have to get out a measuring tape? No. What it means is that you look at incremental change. It's like a staircase. You know, you don't get from point A to point B, elevating yourself from a lower topography to a higher topography without a set of stairs or a lift, unless you're a really good jumper. So you measure those incremental changes that lead to your specific and planful strategic goals. And every time you accomplish them, you reward yourself. Now, obviously, if your goal is to lose weight, you don't reward yourself with a piece of cheesecake. And if you have abstained from alcohol for a week, you don't reward yourself with a gin and tonic. So the reward has to be appropriate to your strategic plan, and it needs to be something that is rewarding. Now just think about the notion of a reward. Does it have to be grandiose? No. It can be something as simple as, I'll take a walk in the fresh air, or I'll allow myself to watch my favorite series on Netflix, or I'll call my best friend and have a chat about something pleasant. Rewards can be minimal, moderate, or very powerful. Being able to appreciate the world in a new perspective, new ways, with a freshness, with a mindfulness, can be very rewarding. Now, let's briefly look at less often made resolutions that can both improve the mood of others and, not so paradoxically, improve your own mood greatly. We talked about the major kinds of New Year's resolutions most people make, but I want to offer a few suggestions on new and maybe different New Year's resolutions that really require very little effort, but pay off a great deal in terms of mood management. All of the things on the screen right now are based on reciprocity. The more you give compliments to others, the more likely you are to get them back. Rather than seeing the game of life as a give and take, a zero-sum game where there are some winners and some losers, if you simply see yourself as a giver, you can feel good about yourself. If you agree more than you disagree with others, you're much more likely to be rewarded yourself when you do something well. If you write thank you notes and emails to others, they're much more likely to think of you when you need help or assistance or just a shoulder to cry on. If you laugh and smile more often, whether you're in the company of others or even in your own company, you're much more likely to feel good. Your mood will be elevated. If you give more than you receive, and you're not keeping track, like in a checkbook, about how much you're giving versus how much you're receiving, you forget about all the paybacks that you might want to expect, and instead see yourself as a giver, somebody who is agreeable, complimentary, thankful, and happy acting, not just fake it until you make it kind of syndrome, but much more acting happy in order to feel happy, then your mood will be elevated and your new year can be a very bright one. Mood management and resolutions to improve your life go hand in hand. Read my book, Mood Management, How to Make Good Feelings Linger and Bad Feelings Fade. Look at my website and follow other links provided. It too is profitable and doesn't cost you a dime. Okay, so let's review. You need specificity and a plan. You need to recognize the prompters for the behavior you want to change. You need to measure your success and reward yourself when you are successful. Habits are difficult to change, but you can do it. Just because you need a plan and a strategy does not make it that much harder, and it improves your probability of success. And oh, by the way, Happy New Year.